BMW Munich, Germany.
Who are you? A driver? Do you feel it? The power of attraction? Can you control it? The drive to move beyond? What captures your eyes will capture your heart. If you like to go from B to T, you have it in your DNA. You make the choices, or just one. Don't look back, straight ahead. If you are a driver, keep it alive. BMW Vision M Next, a statement for the driver.
The luxury automaker currently has a pilot program with suppliers with plants in Europe, Mexico, and the US, and is using blockchain to track materials, components, and parts across its supply chain. BMW is also a member of the Mobile Open Blockchain Initiative, the MOBI, which is made of the consortium of auto manufacturers, including Honda and Ford. In July 2019, MOBI launched the auto industry's first blockchain vehicle identity standard, which gives new cars a digital identity. The technology could eventually track events throughout a car's life and be used to connect vehicles to share information, track speed, location, direction of travel, braking, and even driver intention, like changing lanes. I'll throw something off before we go into the blockchain below. We do know that in BMW China, it is also connected to VeChain, which is helping with this. But the immediate company blockchain, for the company itself, we have the Hyperledger Fabric connecting back to Stellar XLM. We have Ethereum Direct, Quorum, which again runs on Ethereum, Corda.
R3 is a consortium of the world's largest financial institutions working together to understand and explore the opportunities of blockchain and distributed ledger technology to the world's financial industry, and in particular wholesale financial markets. Corda is a distributed ledger for the recording, management, and execution of financial agreements. It is the result of over a year of intense collaboration between R3 and our consortium of over 75 of the world's largest financial institutions. We are using Corda as the basis of a next-generation financial infrastructure between the world's financial institutions, other corporations, and their clients. Corda is the only distributed ledger platform designed from the ground up to meet the real needs of financial institutions. Corda has a unique approach to data distribution, whereby data is only shared with those with a legitimate need to receive it. There is no global broadcast of data in Corda. Data is not indiscriminately broadcast to people with no legitimate need to know. Corda is designed to interface with the existing legal system. Corda records an explicit link from the data on the platform to the overarching legal prose from which it gains its power. Corda is built on modern technologies designed to maximize integration and interoperability with existing bank systems and existing bank libraries. It has always been our intent that Corda should be open source. The only question has been, at what point does it make sense for Corda to be open source? The reasons for Corda being open source are many. One, this is fiduciary code. This is highly critical security code that needs as many people across the industry, both within our consortium and without, reviewing it, understanding it, and contributing to the code to make sure it is as robust and as coherent and as secure as possible. The second reason that Corda is open source is that it has applicability, broad applicability, beyond just finance. The underlying idea of bringing parties to shared facts, parties to agreement into consensus, is critically important to the financial industry, but it has an application beyond the financial industry as well. And we want those industries to benefit from the significant, intense effort we've put into designing Corda. And the final reason for making Corda open source is that it's still a young code base. We've put a lot of work into Corda. It has a lot of insight from ourselves and from our broad membership. But it doesn't matter how much work we put in and how clever and insightful the people we've had the privilege of working with are. The broader community will always have more people, more insight, more intelligence, and it's time we allow those people to contribute as well.
Which we know are basically connected to Ripple and XRP. And then we have Tezos.
Tezos is a really big idea. We set out on an important mission to bring a blockchain that operated under decentralized governance. We saw the ability for a protocol to self-amend as a necessity for innovation without fragmentation.
We wanted to create a technology that would enable people to be more free. Now that the Tezos Bitternet is launched, we want to let you know how much your support has meant to us.
We wouldn't be where we are today without you. We really appreciate your support.
Tezos is more than its technology. It's a global movement, and we're all in this together.
We're at an inflection point. It's now up to all of us as members of the Tezos community to carry the torch forward.
Tezos has always been rooted in its technology. However, the larger community is paramount to achieving its full potential.
Tezos is set up to empower its community to lead, not its founders. This is larger than any one person.
Now is the time for even more community members to get involved. Everybody's needed to build the future of Tezos.
This is still just the beginning of a long journey, and we're so excited to be a part of it.
We cannot wait to see what this community creates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is funny because they put Tezos right in there. Just like Bitcoin, they put it right in there. Smack.
They toss it in. This is good for other people too. Like, again, like you clearly stated at the beginning, we're not maxis. Even if we have our favorite, we're here to share the news because it's going to take the whole community as currencies and use cases for this entire thing to succeed, as Brad and a few other people have mentioned. And we share videos on our Twitter accounts where they physically state it,
We want facts to be like actual factual evidence and everything that it's correct. Like false information is not a good thing when it's spread and people are believing it.
Absolutely. And one thing you and I have fun working together with you is everything that we say, we show. I mean, we're not just saying our opinion. If we do, we separate the two, but we're showing and basing our opinion off the fact. And it's right there. And 99% of the time, we're going to read exactly where we based our opinion from, the fact that we share. So
correct. And if it doesn't make you happy, it's going to make somebody else happy. So stop being so selfish. So then we have the Broadridge.
Think about the challenges of the last 10 years. Regulatory uncertainty, shrinking margins, evolving customer demands. Now imagine the next 10. How will you harness blockchain? What comes after mobile? What comes after Basel IV? How do your customers connect to the cloud? And how will you connect with them? We see what's coming because financial services run through us and brands reach millions of customers through us. That's trillions of dollars in trades, billions of shareholder communications, yet we're right there with you, day in and day out. Everything we do, every insight we provide, answers one question. What's next? So you're ready to move now and a year from now. Ready with scalable tech, ops, and multi-channel comms. Ready to reach clients at the right time and place. Ready with data that puts your business into view. Broadridge, ready for next.
Which is in New York City, New York. Last summer, ADP spin-off Broadridge acquired blockchain software built by financial services firm Northern Trust Design to help manage the entire life cycle of private equity investments. The tool automates the manual middle office functions of PE transactions like managing legal agreements, and streamline the process of gathering data and communicating with investors. It's currently available for funds based in Guernsey?
Perfect.
Okay, Guernsey and the state of Delaware. In the second half of 2020, Broadridge has plans to go live executing bilateral repurchase agreements, repos on the blockchain. Then it goes blockchain, Hyperledger Fabric, Quorum, Corda, DAML, which is Digital Assets Daily. What? No. No. You're like, what? I'm in there? No. Digital asset modeling language. We got to research that one too. DAML. See what they're connected to. DAML. This is just this is showing how much they need each other. Like, ugh.
Absolutely.
All right.
And there's a lot of things that people don't realize in the financial world that something else is needed, like to complete the transaction, you know?
It's just like a human body. Does anybody know anatomy? Right?
Absolutely.
Liver, kidneys, lungs, maybe? Skin, right? So go ahead, keep going.
The next one we have Cargill.
Open trade, responsible trade ensures that food gets from where it's grown, where it's produced, to where it's needed most. It ensures that our customers, our farmers, our communities thrive. It helps them be productive. It creates a market for the products that they grow. In terms of economic impact, the U.S. Department of Agriculture estimated that in 2014, the benefits to the agriculture sector from trade were $150 billion and 1 million jobs. Trade is a net job creator. And we're asking other leaders in our industry and commodities, food, nutrition, to recognize the benefits of trade to keeping the world connected, not only socially, but through our trade policies.
From Wayzata, Minnesota, America's largest private company launched an open-sourced privacy-focused platform called Splinter in 2019, which enables members of its vast supply chain to use distributed applications to communicate and transact. Cargill is mum on details, but says the applications are vast and touch all aspects of the company's business transactions. Cargill began testing Intel's Hyperledger Sawtooth before Thanksgiving 2017 to track turkeys from farm to supermarket, and also previously helped build a customized blockchain called Hyperledger Grid. And again, on the blockchain connection, we have Hyperledger Sawtooth.
I'm Dan Middleton, and I lead distributed ledger development within Intel's new technology group. At Hyperledger, I am a maintainer of the Sawtooth Lake project, as well as having an elected position on the technical steering committee, and then I also hold a seat on the governing board. As a leading contributor to the Linux Foundation, Intel believes strongly in the advancement of open source projects. Particularly at Hyperledger, we're excited to be a part of solving the hard problems necessary to make blockchain useful to business. We released the entirety of the Sawtooth Lake distributed ledger. It's a full-featured blockchain with a novel consensus and transaction layers. At the consensus layer, we have the proof of elapsed time, or POET consensus mechanism, and that helps us express a range of policies between public and private for a ledger deployment. At the transaction layer with transaction families, that's our way of exploring not just how do you create a smart contract, but how do you create a safe smart contract. Along with that project, we've got the entirety of the engineering team that goes to support it, as well as the infrastructure to bring it out there. Additionally, Intel participates within the working groups, and we help to solve some of those difficult problems. Heading into 2017, we've got some things cooking for 2017 that we're excited to get some releases out, and we're looking forward to a big year. There's a lot of energy and promise right now around blockchain. We think the lasting benefits will be not just the efficiencies that are commonly pointed to, but if you properly architect the solution so that businesses are comfortable engaging in a shared database with shared state, then new business models can arise from the availability of that shared information. And that's one of the things that we're most excited to see on the business side.
Hyperledger Grid connecting back to Stellar and XLM. And here, just to pull it up really quick, the other exciting thing with the consensus connected to the Sawtooth.
What is consensus? Tell them.
Okay, let's get into it. Consensus is the process of building agreement among a group of mutually distrusting participants.
Boom.
So there you have it. And that pretty much it sells in consensus. They need each other right there. So either which way, the second approach is based on traditional Byzantine fault tolerance, the BFT, algorithms, and uses multiple rounds of explicit votes to achieve consensus. Byzantine fault, or the Byzantine itself, is connected back. That is the major difference between Stellar and Ripple. But here we have Ripple and Stellar developed consensus protocols.
Who? One more time?
Ripple and Stellar developed consensus protocols that extend traditional BFT for open participation. So again, as we go through these, we're showing you guys their connections back to from their blockchain.
Correct. Platforms.
Exactly, for the platform, sorry.
So then we have, I'm going to keep going, right? You have anything else?
Go right ahead.
All right, cool. Right into the market. No. It's stuck in my head. China Construction Bank.
China Construction Bank is one of China's 4 largest banks. It's traditionally differentiated itself from its competitors by offering industry loans in the gas, the construction, the telecommunications and the power sector. This very much has reflected the bank's origins, which started in 1954, set up by the government as the People's Construction Bank to finance the government's economic plan. Well, with the advent of China's booming economy, the bank has widened its portfolio, offering loans to companies, entrepreneurs, businesses and multinationals. In 2012, China Construction Bank has very much been buoyed up by government infrastructure projects and borrowing to help stimulate economic growth. In order to help its risk and assure steady domestic growth, the bank has developed strategic partnerships with major corporations like PetroChina. It recently entered into a cooperation agreement with Ningbo to help the coastal city of China develop its marine economy. But China Construction Bank has used its large cash reserves for international expansion too. During 2012, the bank acquired the Brazilian assets of the German bank West LB AG. The bank is also present in Hong Kong, Singapore, Frankfurt, Seoul, Johannesburg, Tokyo, New York, Ho Chi Minh City and Sydney. China Construction Bank wants to operate in all major countries of the world by 2015. The strength of the RMB in cross-border trade and investment is facilitating that ambition. And even during tougher economic times, China Construction Bank's partnership approach, both at home and abroad, is shrewd.
So Shanghai, China, the world's second largest bank, has 9 blockchain projects in operation, including one that helps trace pharmaceuticals to their origin, another that tracks carbon credits, and one that shows how government grants are spent. BC Trade is a farthest along connection, 60 financial institutions, including Postal Saving Bank of China, the Bank of Shanghai, and the Bank of Communications, to 3,000 manufacturers and import and export trading companies involved in commerce. Today, a cash-strapped exporter waiting for a shipment to be confirmed can take out a loan in a matter of minutes by sharing a record of the future receivable on blockchain. Receivables. And then the blockchain is Hyperchain.
An educational certificate is an asset connecting students with jobs or higher education. But solving the problem of trust and authenticity is a costly affair for everyone. Universities have to spend manual effort to process verification requests. Companies have to contact universities by phone or email or hire agencies to verify certificates. Students have to endure long procedures, potentially missing out on new opportunities. Hyperchain Certification Interface, or HCCI, solves the problem of trust by making storage and verification of certificates ridiculously simple. It utilizes the blockchain, a revolutionary technology which can be seen as an incorruptible distributed ledger for recording transactions. Storing a certificate on the blockchain creates an encrypted transaction. This is easily traced right back to the issuer using the strong cryptography layer built into the system. In this way, the blockchain provides irrefutable proof of the authenticity of the certificate. This eliminates the chance of fraud and protects the interests of the student as well as the verifier. Through HCCI, a university has a secure node on the blockchain. From here, the authorized user can add certificate templates and directly upload results or connect a results database. Private keys provide additional protection. The student who logs in to HCCI finds a validated certificate. The student then chooses to download or share the certificate with companies or other universities. A shared certificate is instantly verifiable for authenticity. HCCI also functions as an identity management system where a student can store certificates from different sources as well as work profiles. It allows students from past batches to upload their certificates and get them validated. This way, they gain access to alumni networks and placement portals. Universities can track their students and grow the network. HCCI with blockchain is the future of certificate verification and student identity management. It brings students, universities, and employers together in a circle of trust and creates a space for exciting new possibilities.
Hyperledger and Fabric. Hyperchain, it sounds familiar. You know what that sounds like? Holochain.
It does.
I gotta look into it. I'm not sure. I just said that because they kind of like seem but yeah, that's, we all know China is in everything. Everything. Toto, you want to put anything in there about Chinese construction? Go ahead.
Next up, we'll discuss the Citigroup.
Change has many faces, names you'll never know. The bright-eyed, the brave, the visionaries. Where challenges exist, you'll find them. Everything they do is for those who come next. So side by side, they pave the road ahead to create a place where everyone belongs. At Citi, we empower people who are out to change the world. Because tomorrow waits for no one, but it belongs to those who welcome it with open arms. Citi, welcome what's next.
New York. Citi recently digitally issued its first letter of credit using its trade finance focused blockchain Comgo. Citi is also working with Goldman Sachs and 13 other trading firms to automate the matching and reconciliation of equity swaps derivative contracts using Axoni's XCore blockchain. By moving the entire workflow to blockchain, Citi hopes to reduce errors in operational cost and minimize disputes over the valuation of assets. And their blockchain connection is XCore.
Welcome to our first video in a series of videos about Xlang, a programming language for Ethereum-based blockchain smart contracts. Xlang is a Scala-based domain-specific language, and as we will show in this first demo, Xlang smart contracts are also valid Scala programs. More specifically, as you will see in this diagram, Xlang is based on Scala, but it is extended to form a core domain-specific language. A language that can be compiled to produce deployable Ethereum bytecode, and at the same time represents valid Scala code that can be compiled to JVM bytecode. In this demo, we would like to demonstrate Xlang by starting with a simple main Scala program that instantiates and calls methods from two classes, the Math Tools class and the Token Manager class. The Math Tools class has a max method that returns the maximum of 2 integer values, and the Token Manager class emulates a simple token transfer. It does this through the transfer tokens method that first computes the amount to be transferred based on 2 input parameters, x and y, and then performs the transfer by subtracting the amount from balance A and adding it to balance B. We can now build and execute the main program to show that the Math Tools class and the Token Manager class are both valid Scala classes that can be instantiated and their methods executed on the JVM. They are also smart contracts. For example, the Math Tools class can be viewed as a smart contract that can be compiled with the Axlang compiler to produce its bytecode. In particular, the Axlang compiler will produce a JSON file that contains the ABI information and the bytecode. We can try this out with a simple script that will first deploy the Math Tools smart contract and then perform one operation, which is to call the max method. What happened here is that the Math Tools smart contract was deployed in a local EVM blockchain, and the max method was invoked as we specified in the script, and it returned the expected result. In addition, Math Tools was also deployed in the public Ethereum blockchain and can be accessed through Etherscan. We can try that for the Token Manager class as well. But we first need to compile it with the Axlang compiler to get the JSON file with the ABI information and the bytecode, as we did for the Math Tools class. Our deployment script for Token Manager starts with the deployment of the Token Manager smart contract with balance A equal to 100 and balance B equal to 200. The deployment is followed by 3 operations: a call to the transfer tokens method, and then a query for balance A and a query for balance B. As we can see, the Token Manager was deployed in the local EVM instance, followed by the transfer tokens operation, which has executed correctly, as you can see from the new values of balance A and balance B. It was also deployed in the public Ethereum blockchain and can be accessed through Etherscan. So far, we've demonstrated how the Math Tools and Token Manager classes can be used as valid Scala classes, as well as smart contracts that can be compiled into EVM bytecode and deployed in the blockchain. For formal verification, we use a tool called Stainless that utilizes the ensuring and require Scala clauses to perform design-by-contract formal verification. For example, we can invoke the Stainless tool for Math Tools by passing the F option to the Axlang compiler. This will formally verify the ensuring post conditions that we specified for the max method and give us counterexamples for which the implementation of max violates these conditions. In this particular case, the counterexample indicates an integer overflow for the x minus y operation, which results in the violation of the ensuring post conditions. We can do the same for transfer tokens, but this time we also specify preconditions by using the require clause. We can also use a Stainless function called old to access the balance A and balance B values before the execution of transfer tokens. Again, Stainless provided counterexamples for which transfer tokens violates any of our verification conditions. So to summarize, we've shown how Scala classes can be compiled with the Axlang compiler to produce deployable Ethereum smart contracts, and how we can utilize the Stainless tool to perform formal verification. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more demos and updates on Axlang.
The Symbiont Assembly and Quorum.
In the new digital age, so much has changed. The way we communicate, the way we exchange information, the way we transact business. In the financial world especially, The changes are coming fast and furious. It's even hard to keep up with the lexicon. Bitcoin, blockchains, cryptocurrency, smart contracts. It could make one's head explode.
Blockchain-based transactions are more transparent, faster, and more secure than traditional transactions. Based on the decentralized nature of a blockchain and the cryptographic techniques that we use to secure your data, we can avoid pitfalls that occurred during the financial crisis in the previous part of this century. By not having to rely upon one central authority for your information, you're able to participate in your financial transaction at the same state as those financial institutions that previously you were relying upon for that information.
Well, unlike traditional systems that record, say, property titles or the title to your car, assets on a blockchain don't have to move. They're not registered in paper form. A blockchain is a golden record of who owns what and when that's maintained by thousands of computers who all see the same information at the same time and know permanently, irrefutably, that you own that piece of property you just bought.
Blockchain technology is a fundamentally new computing architecture, different from traditional client-server models, as well as distributed databases. It allows multiple financial institutions to share data in real time, rather than go through expensive reconciliation processes, which are also slow, manual, and error-prone. This is especially applicable to financial markets, for which reconciliation is often a major burden.
One company, Symbiont, is bridging the gap between the emerging blockchain ecosystem and Wall Street, the first issuance and trading platform for smart securities.
A smart contract is a self-executing cryptographic agreement. It's a computer program which encodes and automates expensive business processes. A Symbiont smart security is an application of this technology to financial instruments and blockchains. An example is a stock which keeps track of its own shareholders and pays out dividends to them completely automatically.
We call smart contracts on our platform smart securities, and they're smart for two reasons. First, because they will only ever exist on our platform, never in paper form like they do today, and our platform automates the administrative functions like paying dividends, for example. One thing that may surprise you is that you don't actually own the securities in your brokerage account. And on the Symbiont platform, you would own all the securities that you buy through our platform. So today, for example, it takes 3 days for you to buy a share of stock, for you to receive it after you've bought it. And during that period, your stock travels through multiple financial institutions' balance sheets on its way to you. And the system doesn't always keep perfect track of who owns what because it's not registered in your name. And that harms mom and pop investors. And on the Symbiont platform, we solve those issues.
Symbiont Smart Contract Platform is novel and purpose-built for capital markets. In fact, we call it a smart security platform. It was designed to remove inefficiencies in the middle and back office and remove any middleman possible to create more efficient transactions at higher speed and at scale. The market has embraced this new technology, and many institutions are now moving forward to utilizing this new technology in production. Blockchain technology and Symbiont Smart Securities are so powerful and so extensible that they can be applied to almost any financial marketplace. At Symbiont, we identified our first 3 targets: insurance, commercial lending, and the government sector, where we're providing registry services and incorporation services to state and local governments. Just as the way the internet changed the way we share information, blockchain technology and Symbiont Smart Securities are changing the way we transfer value.
As the financial world innovates and learns from emerging technologies like smart securities and blockchain, Symbiont will be at the forefront to help navigate the shifting financial landscape. To learn more about Symbiont and its digital solutions, visit symbiont.io.
Platform we know was Ethereum, and I believe
Symbiont Assembly, I actually own some of that.
Was this the one? I don't want to lose this one. Okay, no, this is a different one. Okay, I don't want to lose that.
You were good. I know we touched topic on hot stuff or something like that.
Yeah, that one's coming up.
Okay, cool.
We did do Axe Core somewhere in here.
Axe Core is right there, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna continue to go, or I think everybody's familiar with Citigroup.
Yeah, everyone's familiar. I mean, even though it says Ethereum here, we've had not direct. These obviously are their direct, but indirectly we have shown that Citigroup also connected back to Ripple and Stellar. So that was indirect.
So now we're
only only want to stay with their direct for this video, you know what I mean?
Correct,
So we don't get too confused and people get
That's fine,
frustrated.
that's fine. We'll do another show explaining the other ones. No. So Coinbase.
We use money every day, but we rarely appreciate its power and its flaws. It's a tool that has been at the center of human progress. And as we build bigger and tackle complex problems, we're going to need the best tools available.
We have a global economy. We're going to need a global digital currency.
Cryptocurrency is going to be a great democratizing force for the world because it's going to level the playing field and allow anybody with a cell phone to access financial services.
This is going to transform how we think about a real global economy. I think in order to understand its importance, we first have to define what currency means. What currency does is it actually allows us to agree upon the value of something. It's almost like a communication tool.
There are different ways of coordinating human beings. One way that you can do that is with money. You can incentivize people to try to work on the same thing at the same time.
We started off building simple systems like a bridge crossing a river to very amazing things like rocket ships. We went from interacting with our neighbors to now transacting with each other around the world. And we want to make sure that people can move money freely. And our current financial system just doesn't enable that.
So the current systems are very centralized. And so we have big banks and big governments. There's a lot of middlemen who make things incredibly inefficient.
When you talk about the problems of the existing financial system, you can go to a situation like Venezuela where money is being printed and folks' savings are basically being destroyed.
The value of their wealth has been completely eroded. I think a lot of us in the United States sort of take this idea for granted that if someone gives us money, it'll be in our bank account and it's not going to disappear or be taken away from us. And that's really a luxury that many people in the world don't have at all. There are about 1.8 billion people in the world today who have a cell phone but don't have access to any financial services. And what's really powerful about cryptocurrency is that it lets anybody, if you just have a smartphone and internet connection, participate in the global economy.
What cryptocurrency does is takes the stability that we have and gives it to the rest of the world.
If I have a dollar bill, I can hand that directly to somebody else. There was no bank in the middle there. With digital currency and blockchain, it's actually more similar to cash yet again, where I can send something directly to somebody else and I don't necessarily have to go through middlemen like a bank or a credit card company.
We can go back to how we normally transacted, which is directly with each other without all these giant central parties in between.
When computer scientists talk about the concept of so-called decentralization, what they mean is to avoid this idea of a single point of failure.
A single point of failure like we have with institutions.
If you have a single bank and that bank has all your money and then that bank fails, well, everyone's out of money. Whereas if you have lots of different individual nodes, hard drives and phones and so on that have some money, well, they're probably not all going to fail at the same time.
So you no longer need the middleman to keep track of an internal ledger. All these computers are writing everything down for you.
That network effect makes it unbreakable.
So technology makes us richer and wealthier because you need less time or less money or less effort to get something done.
Right now, when people think of crypto, I think they think of investment.
There's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of talk of prices and how much money has been raised, but it's really important to see past that.
It'll shift to people actually using cryptocurrency to buy goods and services and transact in the economy.
And that's not just send money back and forth, that means employ each other or fund each other.
A more global economy is important because there is talent everywhere, but opportunity is not evenly distributed.
In a world where this technology is fully adopted, it won't matter what country you're born in. All that will matter is that you have a mobile phone and internet connection, and you have skills and knowledge to learn, and you can contribute to the global economy. You can benefit from the world, and the world can benefit from you.
Think about what kind of economy we could have if we had a global currency that we were all responsible for and all invested in. It opens up opportunity for everybody.
Just being able to trust that if I do good work in the world and someone compensates me for it, I will be able to keep that wealth. That's such a powerful idea that it actually encourages people to try to do more good things in the world.
If you've got lots of people who are invested in each other's success, literally, they're invested in each other's success at a broader level.
I think cryptocurrencies are going to be as impactful to humanity as the internet has been.
Digital currency and blockchain can bind us in ways that we wouldn't be bound before.
San Francisco, California. 8 years after its start, Coinbase has opened 35 million accounts, presides over 21 billion of assets, and is on target. we estimate to top 800 million in revenues this year. Think of Coinbase as the blue chip among dozens of cryptocurrency exchanges, admitting by regulations and serving institutional investors, pension funds, and endowments.
Oh, the endowments.
Okay,
yes.
endowments. Okay, I was just making sure I was saying it right. Endowments and retail investors alike. In February 2020, Coinbase announced that it had received authority from Visa to issue its own credit cards. Click here to read more. They're already advertising within themselves. Like, click here. Come on, get your Visa. And then their blockchain is Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and 24 others. Sorry about that one. I just wanted to make sure I was pronouncing it right. So, thank you.
Yeah.
So here, how come it says, oh, okay, and 24 other blockchains? Yeah, because Coinbase is involved with it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and hit your Switzerland.
The Credit Suisse.
Over 2 million clients, 45,800 employees, more than 300 locations worldwide. This is Credit Suisse today, one of the world's leading banks. Its history of over 150 years began with young Swiss visionary and politician Alfred Escher. He set out to expand the Swiss railway system, connecting Switzerland to the world without the use of foreign capital. To raise the money needed for the construction, Alfred Escher founded the Schweizerische Kreditanstalt in 1856. Back then, the new bank raised capital by offering interest to those willing to lend their money to the new railroad project, what we today would call an investment banking service. It was through this work as a credit intermediary, the most basic function of any bank bringing together borrowers and savers, that the SKA, which later became Credit Suisse, contributed to establishing and shaping Zurich and Switzerland as the financial center it is today. There's much more than just the name that has changed since 1856. Credit Suisse today encompasses two main business areas: private banking and wealth management and investment banking. The Private Banking and Wealth Management Division offers advisory and investment services and products to private, corporate, and institutional clients, while the Investment Banking Division provides large corporates, institutions, and governments worldwide with an array of products and services, from securities trading and execution to capital raising and advisory services, such as helping companies to list their stocks. By leveraging the expertise and resources from both divisions, its integrated banking model allows Credit Suisse to help all of its clients to raise the capital they need to develop their activities and fund further innovation. As a financial services provider, Credit Suisse is also a member of the Global Society. Through its banking activities and, for example, through its role as a consumer of goods and services globally, it makes an important contribution to the economy. As a financial partner to around 1/3 of all Swiss businesses, Credit Suisse helps to drive growth and aids private clients in achieving personal goals like home ownership. Credit Suisse also considers social and environmental aspects when conducting its business and develops sustainable products. And it engages in microfinance projects, providing over 2.4 million people with improved access to financial services. 150 years after its founding, Credit Suisse today helps businesses and private clients globally to achieve financial and personal goals. In its annual reporting suite, Credit Suisse gives readers a detailed account of its activities during the year.
Zurich, Switzerland. The Swiss banking giant has been investing in blockchain since 2015 when it became a founding member of Blockchain Consortium R3. It is now working with the parent company of Bitcoin exchange, ItBit, to settle US-listed equity securities using a blockchain. Another blockchain partnership with Deutsche Börse has reduced settlement times from government and corporate bonds to the same day. Obviously, R3 is Corda. Corda is the XRP.
And Paxos is a stablecoin.
There you go, Paxos.
Hi, my name is Charles Cascarilla, and I'm CEO of Paxos. We're a fintech company based here in New York. We're really trying to change the plumbing of the financial system and to build a new infrastructure that allows anybody to move any asset in a trustworthy way. This is a complete retooling of the plumbing of the system, and it will allow a completely different way of people to be able to interact with other people, to move their assets around, to be empowered, and to have access that they don't right now. So I started the company for a couple reasons. Firstly, I've spent my career in financial services, so I really have a deep understanding of a lot of the problems in the financial system. And I think when we came across blockchain, we realized there was an ability to start to solve these problems in a fundamentally different way than they had been solved before. And so that led us to want to start Paxos. But we realized solving financial services problems is not just about technology, it's also about having access. And that's what led us to create a trust company in the state of New York. And by having the trust company and employing blockchain technology, we thought we could fundamentally change the way in which the financial system operates in a way that is more equitable, has more access, is more efficient. I think the world looks fundamentally different if Paxos is successful. Being able to change anybody's ability to move their assets, to do it in a reliable and trustworthy way, but also at the same time to move it really at the click of a button, would be significantly different than how the world works now. It's in some ways the pain is almost something we've just grown to live with. You have a shoe that's on your foot and it's the wrong size, and you don't even realize it until you take it off. And I think that's what Paxos is going to do. It's going to change your ability to move your assets and to realize just how painful the process is right now, and you haven't even realized it. Paxos has already launched some really exciting products, some groundbreaking products. There's 3 or 4 products that we're doing right now that are already establishing us as a completely different type of financial services firm. The first is we already custody and allow our customers to trade crypto native assets. That's like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Secondly, we have built a stable coin based on US dollars. It's backed 1-for-1 with US dollars. And what's very unique about this is it allows anybody to have US dollars that they can move around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and do it in a completely programmable way. Very, very powerful and completely new. And then the third thing that we've been doing is working in precious metals and commodities generally, but specifically in precious metals, and changing the way in which commodities are able to move and enabling them to shift around on a blockchain in a much more efficient and seamless way. And then lastly, we've been working in the security space. We have some products that are in development that we haven't been public about yet, but they're coming, and it's very exciting, both in the security token space and in the established securities world. This is a huge market. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars of tradable securities, but yet it takes most of them 2, 3, or even longer days to settle, which is very, very inefficient. So all of the different asset classes in the world, and there's nearly 600 trillion of them, are in effect moving around very inefficiently. How you can change that and increase access would really fundamentally alter the financial services landscape. And we've already got products that are establishing how we're going to do that, and we have more that are in the pipeline. We really want to make sure we find people that can work well together. The whole point of a company is that you can do more together than you can apart. I know that sounds obvious, but it's also important to realize that's pretty foundational. And working well together is, in my opinion, all about having a common culture. Sometimes culture can feel like a term that's just thrown around that is hard to grasp. And what is it? How do you make it tangible? To us, culture is something that's very tangible because it's in part the operating system of how we're really all working together. And within that operating system, you try to have core values that make it easy for anybody to come in and know if they're going to work well in this environment. We don't think that we have the perfect environment. This is not necessarily an environment for everybody, but we think it's a really unique and great place to work. And so the 4 core values that we always emphasize are 1, searching for the truth, 2, be an owner, 3, a shared commitment to excellence, and 4, a real-time candid feedback. And so this is all about trying to create a really great way for us to be able to operate together, to build a great company, to solve some really big problems, and for us to all be able to do it better together than we could as separate people. Yeah, so the core values are really important because they're kind of the headline ways in which we're trying to make sure we drive the culture, the way we all work together. It's the way we hire people. It's the way we promote people. It's the reason why we let people go, how they're able to operate in that environment. But there is a lot more to a culture, obviously, than just your core values. You do your best to encapsulate them with core values. Some of the additional things that really, I think, define us is having a real tenacity. Changing the financial system is not easy. It takes time. There's a lot of setbacks. Being in a startup involves always having a lot of setbacks. So being tenacious, being relentless about trying to self-improve and continue to not just make yourself better, but to make the company better, even if it's not necessarily something that you're directly accountable for, that is what really allows us to have force multiplication of everyone we bring into the company. And that's really important for us. How can you get great people? Because that's the only way you're going to have a great company. You can't have a great company without great people. It sounds self-evident, but it's really, really true. We've seen it ourselves many times over and over. And ultimately, us finding great people will allow us to solve these hard problems.